Hey everybody, it's Yusef for good games that no one played, but this is not one of those. Are they ever really? It's Jet Set Radio Future for the original Xbox, OG. This game is one of the more revered games in the Xbox's history. It came bundled with Sega GT, which is also a good racing game, I hear. I'm not a race car guy. The Jet Set Radio Future is the long-anticipated sequel to Jet Set Radio, or Jet Grind Radio. And a lot of people have talked about it, but not many people talk about the things that kind of suck in the controls, which make you want to pull your hair out. Now let me back up. I've been feeling real blah lately because I've been dealing with some home situations. So I have started to look for some sort of beautiful struggle sort of video game stuff. You know, like when the hero is a graffiti artist or when the hero is just painting scenery that has had all the color sucked out of it. That's kind of how my life felt. So I wanted to play some video games that had that sort of element. The first game I played was The Blob 2. The second game that I played was Mark Echo's Getting Up. The third game that I'm playing now is Jet Set Radio Future. And they all pretty much have the same premise. So the government, or some rich guy who's controlling the government, is doing the thing where they are trying to control everyone to the point where no one is interesting or fun or enjoyable.
Yeah, this is DJ Professor K, baby, the master of mayhem, know what I'm saying? Bring you another Tokyo Underground pirate radio broadcast from Jet Set Radio. Tokyo is being oppressed by the Rokkaku Group, a mega enterprise headed by Rokkaku Goji. Rokkaku is using his money and influence to mess with everything, industry, society, and even our culture. And he's even got his eyes set on City Hall. Lately, Rokkaku's been shaking down the government, passing that Rokkaku law crap, even buying off the police department. This law ain't nothing but garbage. It's just some selfish little punk's way of trying to show he's a big man. Rokkaku and his gang are trying to stomp out our culture left and right. They don't give a rip about our rights. All they care about is profit. But even in all this heat, there's a group of young kids who've been tearing up the streets. I'm talking about the Rudies. These kids have set out to bury Tokyo and graffiti. And now they're all wrapped up in their own little territorial tug-of-wars.
All these games have some sort of controlled jankiness, you know. And I will probably talk about those specifically at a different time. But this game is always praised for how creative it is. Now, the real creative game is Jet Set Radio. And Jet Set Radio Future is basically a redesign of that game with a couple of features added. The overall action is faster, and you can sacrifice spray paint cans to do a super dash, and they added some extra style stuff that is in the tutorial that was cool but I rarely used. They made the joystick button a slowdown button, which the robot told you is for slowing down and being able to spray things on the ground. But you know what else slows you down while you're on the ground? Not pushing the joystick forward. The only time I used this slowdown button was by mistake, and almost always when I was trying to go faster so I could spray people in the back. Speaking of spraying people in the back, there are a couple of sections where you get cut off from your normal mission, and you have to fight police officers and an inspector, graffiti riot police. Sometimes they even send tanks after you. And you have a couple of boss fights. In most of these, you're trying to figure out how to spray paint their backs, because apparently spray painting people stops them from trying to attack you. The only real problem I have with these is that when a bad guy grabs you, you can either fall down with them and then it takes you forever to stand back up, or you can grind, which will put you in a situation where you don't have control of your character for maybe a couple of seconds, and it will not allow you to go back and spray the guy. Or you can super speed through people, which is kind of like the grind, but you'll burn 10 spray paint cans. At the beginning, you could just kind of knock people over, come back and spray them, but the preferred method, once you get towards the end of the game, is using the super speed run. holding on for dear life as you try to steer towards all the people in that super speed move so that you can knock over as many as you can and go back and spray them. It's a pretty fun mechanic. I think it would be interesting for a little side game to have a 2-player mode. But, I mean, so far this game is pretty cool with this, so I'll give it a pass. There are sections where you race people as well. I'm all over the place on this. Sorry, guys. There are sections that you'll race people so that they will join your gang, and those are pretty fun. I kind of buzz by them because at that point I've been through the stage already and I kind of know most of the shortcuts. I'll devise a plan in which I can skip ahead against the person. Also, I like these things because it helps you learn how fast your character can go. There's a little gauge at the bottom right-hand corner that's a triangle. And once you've maxed out on that triangle, you are pretty much going the fastest that you possibly can. Once you're going pretty fast, it allows you to jump really high and do a trick. Now, the jump normally is pretty boring and it's very slow, but you can do the jump and it covers a lot of distance. So if you want to jump from one spot to another to make that shortcut happen, you could do it. Other times you use your racing skill to follow people around and spray paint their back. That's fun as well because if you can get right behind the person, you can hold the spray paint button and your character will just keep spray painting things without you having to jam on the button too fast. It's actually pretty cool. Last but definitely not least, they have a racing game with a racing track, which I don't know why they put that in there. There's a ball that you pick up, and then you're supposed to race around the track with the ball and beat the other team, and you're able to pass, and if somebody knocks into you, then they can steal the ball from you. But I pretty much just jumped ahead of everybody and then just ran for dear life. It was a very silly game. I don't know why we did it other than to waste time, but at least I got the extra character, which is, in my opinion, is the coolest character. The short hair, the emo scarf with the black shirt. Yeah, she was really cool. Half the characters you see in this game, you're just like, okay, I got a new one, but this one's the one that you want to pick right away. And that's probably just me, but you know. Yo, quick tangent. I sub to a few graph channels, and the cops in some places don't have guns. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Now, these videos are hilarious. Cops come through, and they actually have to chase the graffiti artists. Most of the time, they're security guards watching over a train area or something, but a lot of the time, it's a real cop. And these videos always paint the graph guy as the hero, of course, but they are pretty crazy. I don't have a dog in the fight between cops and graffiti artists, though. I actually want to see artwork if it's good. I'm not a fan of just writing your name on a wall. If the best thing you can do is half-ass draw a schlong, I don't see the benefit other than making people shake their heads. One graffiti artist pointed out that the establishment gets to litter all the sky with billboards, forcing their messages down your throat to make money. And people should be mad at that just as much as they don't appreciate graffiti. Graffiti makes boring ideas more interesting, but it would be nice if everyone agreed where the boring areas are. Anyway, despite a few new characters, most of the characters are redesigns from the last one. And by redesigns, I just mean that they are alternate costumes with more crap on them. Not that they are worse or better. Well, some of them are bad outfits to begin with. But they're pretty much the exact same vibe. The stages are the old stages, but really overdone, which I also appreciate. And there's some additions of new stages that are a bit too much. And this is where the game turns very frustrating. So a lot of these stages have some basic gimmicks. But most of the basic gimmicks that all stages have are rails to grind. Your character has the ability of perfect balance and will grind a rail forever, which is actually really cool to not have to worry about it like in Tony Hawk Pro Skate or whatever. One of the problems is that there's no button to disengage the grind. This is pretty much the only thing that has really pissed me off on this game. Both versions of the game, really. You see, the more rails they put all over the frickin' place, the more you will grab onto them and grind. And there will be times when you try to get off a damn rail, but if you're going too fast, you'll do a super jump only to land on another rail. Or you're trying to go one direction and you hit a rail, and then you go flying in a different direction. Now, all of this could be solved if you could actually stop your momentum. But this is one of those games that lets you gain momentum way too fast and you can't make any intricate movements. Maybe it's the Mad Catz controller that I bought. But it would be nice if there was a disengage button just to be able to reset what trick or plan that I had going on. And half the reason why I don't play this game all the time is because of how frustrating it is when they ask you to put graffiti on a certain spot, and when you try to do it, you grab on to everything else in the area other than the damn thing you're trying to get on. Sometimes you spend a good couple of minutes trying to even get up to that spot, and then you accidentally latch onto a rail and get shot all the way back down to the bottom and have to do it all over again. And once a game gets in your brain with that crap, it's then harder to accomplish the task because you're just losing your mind at that point. Conversely, they could have tightened up the stages to help the controls. The game went from a lot of street level fun stuff to super high rails, tight sewers, and skyscrapers. With the high rails, you had little control. You were literally on rails, just sitting there. If you missed your graffiti, you had to wait until you cycled back around. In the tight sewers, the half pipes would make controlling your character a lot tougher. You didn't know your orientation half the time. Also, there's a special place in hell for whoever designed this stupid little platform area in the sewers. So I had to go through it twice to get to some special stuff. And the platforms mess with you because when you take a turn, your character tends to zip in one direction or the other because of the whole starting up and really fast, like speeding up thing. And it would often just make you veer off into the water and have you pop up right at the beginning of the whole thing. It was so frustrating. Like I did have to put down the controller, go do something else and come back. Whoever did this, you can go to hell, like straight to hell. No cap, no jacket. Screw you, man, you suck. And in the skyscrapers, you would have a tough issue mapping out in your head what route you should take to get somewhere. I mean, look at this stupid map. Look at it. What am I supposed to figure out there, huh? And then there are the falls. Falling, falling, falling. You didn't get to that ledge? Fall. You land on a corner and you want to stop, but the camera is going apeshit and won't define a direction for you in time? Fall. You need to jump off a rail and for some reason it causes you to fly off to the side way too much? Fall. All of the falls are excruciatingly long too. Sometimes the fall is so long that the spot where you are supposed to reset is way off. These things don't bother you at first, but the way the game is designed where you end up doing the same trick pattern repeatedly makes you wait too long to get back to the action. It's to the point that for a while, you find that you have no control of the player longer than you are actually playing the game. The rail situation could be made easier if you just 180 spin to change direction. I mean, if you're moving at a high speed, I can see not doing it, but a low speed grind you should be able to, I think. The camera is garbage. You can't control the camera for some reason. You have an extra joystick that does absolutely nothing unless you're fully stopped, and then you can control the camera in first person, but you have to push in the joystick button for the first person mode to be engaged, and then you can look around. The camera doesn't catch up with you most of the time. So if you're in a spiral staircase or some sort of room with angular rails, then the camera is only going to follow you a certain distance. It always takes a second for it to wheel around to being behind you. Now, they do have a button that will pop the camera right behind you, but sometimes if you stop and turn around, the camera is confused as to which direction you're facing because your character can spin around and skate backwards for almost no reason whatsoever. No, they can't change direction on the grinds, but they can turn around and grind. Thank God. The devs take advantage of the crappy camera to pad out the final boss as well. They are asking you to do a series of grinds and jumps to get to the top to paint the bad guy. However, what looks like an easy task is thrown off because of the camera stealing your ability to see ahead. It's infuriating. But then it uses the same game mechanics in combination with the later stages to pad the game by exploiting the problems that weren't an issue before. I understand that it's part of the challenge, but I feel like they could do it without being as annoying. Seriously though, nobody wants to feel like they're out of control of their character like that. And getting jerked around every place when you just want to frickin' touch the ground and stop moving sucks. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm sure some people will defend this game because it's a dope game, and by all means, tell me how great it is. But if they make a new one, I do want to see these changes, or I probably won't be excited. Thanks for watching my video for Jet Set Radio Future. Please like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Peace.